We know that the concerns are very high out there, and so we're going to do everything possible to, again, bring justice. Our top priority for me personally and for our agency is to bring justice for Jasmine. This has impacted all our community, and we're going to continue to do every effort possible to make sure that we bring closure to the family and also that we get this killer off our streets. We do not want anyone else to be harmed in any way. I mentioned we're going through different tips and everything. I know that there was some information out there that there had been a previous shooting in the general area. We did follow-up investigation on that case previously, but I've asked our teams to, again, be thorough and make sure that we leave no stone unturned. So we're looking at that once again just to see if we may have missed anything. I do want to point out that that particular incident, the shooting itself, had occurred about 6 miles away, and the victim eventually drove to the location, which was the retail store that was very close to where this happened. But the incident itself had happened in a different location, about 6 miles away, approximately. So, but we're still nonetheless looking into that just to make sure that we're not missing something. And we appreciate everyone's concern. We're also aware of the reward on behalf of Mr. Lee Merritt and Sean King being increased to $50,000, it's my understanding. So again, we appreciate the national interest and awareness that this has garnered. It's unfortunate why it's necessary, but I'm glad that we're all coming together to try to, once again, find justice for Jasmine. So, we look forward to continuing to work with them as well, and any leads that they could help develop, then, we appreciate any and all assistance. And we appreciate the assistance here of our local county residents as well. So with that said, I think I saw a hand up there in the back first.
Can you quantify the scope of this investigation, the manpower, around the clock, how many agencies are involved?
Well, we do have an increased presence out there. Again, we are adding additional patrols out in the area. It's just a deployment of resources. Nothing else is going to be impacted in a negative way in any way. And also just a lot of agencies that we work with on a regular basis that also have overlap. We have a lot of different agencies that already work in the area. So it's just having more of a direct focus on this particular investigation. So there's definitely a lot of resources out there being placed, and we always work with all partners at all levels, whether on the investigative process or boots on the ground. And so that's what we're doing. We're just making sure everybody's coming together to assist.
Sheriff, you mentioned Sean King and Lee Merritt. It was earlier that the Harris County Sheriff's Office official Twitter account retweeted the claim that there was an eyewitness that was brought forward to Harris County who chased down and chased after the pickup truck. Is there any, can you confirm that? Can you verify that there is an eyewitness? And what can you tell us about that claim?
I can say that we're receiving tips and that we're going through those, but we still have to vet them. And so from our perspective, we do have to be a little bit cautious between we confirm something until we could get all our ducks lined up and can really verify all the information and there's not any loose ends. We need to be very deliberate in this process because ultimately we want to make sure that we get to the right person and not be chasing different trails or perhaps land on the wrong individual. We want to make sure that we get the right person as quickly as possible. So yes, we have received tips, information about possible eyewitnesses, but all that still has to be vetted, and some of those happened just today, so we're going through it.
And those tips, have they come through Sean King?
Some have, but others through our normal channels. We also work very closely here locally with Crime Stoppers. Others have emailed, some have reached out to me directly. And so, again, however way they come in, we appreciate it, and we'll definitely consider all of them. Some are a little bit more credibility than others that are more, hey, I have an idea or something more random. But again, we appreciate them all. We appreciate people taking an interest in calling in.
There's word that you all will be working with the oldest daughter of or the oldest sister of Jasmine to get maybe more details about what the shooter looked like, maybe even the possibility of a composite sketch. Between that and maybe releasing the video of this truck, are you all hoping to have any more images that the public can work with?
Yes, we absolutely do hope to have more images, whether they come in the form of a composite sketch or more video or clearer video. It's just a matter of trying to get through that and getting a better image, and so we are working through that right now. And so as soon as we either get a composite sketch, we're hoping to get that done today. If not today, then hopefully the target date will be tomorrow, and we'll have another presser to release that formally to all of you. And again, as I said the other day, we appreciate our media partners for all of you doing such an excellent job locally and nationally to get this word out.
Have you been able to rule anything out at this point, like that maybe it was somebody they knew, or, you know what I'm saying, but have you been able to, do you feel real confident that's a random thing, or?
We still don't have any linkage to this particular family in any way that we've been able to, say that there's a linkage. So it still seems random in terms of their acquaintance. But we're not ruling anything out. We take very serious what's occurring. We're not tone deaf to some of the concerns in our community where these could be potentially race related. We're not going to ignore that issue either. However, again, me being a former investigator and working homicides, I'll tell you that our focus still continues to be on the evidence that we have, leads that we could develop, where the investigation takes us, and then motive and all that we could definitely, enhance and determine once we get those facts. But for now, our goal is finding this individual, this coward, this shooter, and finding this vehicle. And so that's our goal. And then everything's still on the table, whether there may have been a previous connection of some kind that we simply don't know. Obviously, it's still fairly recent, and the family's been through a lot of trauma and hospitalized and other things. So, if new information comes forward from them or something that they may have missed, then we want to know that as well, or any other potential witnesses that are out there.
Is there another random shooting besides the 2017 that looks like it could be involved in any way?
So far, we haven't found that linkage. I know it was brought up that there was a shooting yesterday at another retailer that was, in the eastern part of Harris County. We're looking at that as well. Everything's on the table. And again, I also said the other day, if somebody may have encountered a similar situation in the past with some type of road rage type incident, that could be a potential motive as well. So we're not ruling anything out. We don't want to have tunnel vision and only focus on one particular motive, but we're focused on a wide range of things right now.
A community activist was critical, saying, you all need to call in the FBI, where are the Texas Rangers? Are you confident that the sheriff's office can do it solo?
I'm very confident that we could, we have the talent here. We've solved big crimes before. I'm personally involved in monitoring to make sure that things are in the right direction and where they need to be. And I will say that it's not a matter of us working in silos in any way. We absolutely are working with our other partners as well. That's a given on something like this. And so I hope that our community also has a little bit of patience as we work through this. I wish we could divulge every single detail and every strategy. We simply can't, and I hope they understand that. But I'm personally involved in this. They have my commitment that we will not rest until we solve this case. And we'll do everything possible. It's not easy. We need help. But I'm confident we're heading in the right direction. And we are working, indeed, with our other partners as well. And we greatly appreciate it.
Estamos en vivo ahora mismo. Quería, por favor, si podías resumir lo mismo que acaba de decir y de paso contestar lo que le han preguntado a los compañeros sobre esa conexión del tirador del 2017, si en efecto ustedes pueden hacer alguna conexión y qué les parece que los activistas de derechos civiles estén precisamente haciendo esa relación.
I'll say it briefly in Spanish. Estamos aquí para dar un poco de información sobre el caso de Jasmine Barnes, la niña de 7 años que trágicamente fue asesinada el domingo por la mañana. En este momento no tenemos algo nuevo para anunciar, solamente estamos aquí para contestar un poco de preguntas. Queremos decir que vamos a agregar más patrullas en esa área de la parte este para disminuir algunas de las preocupaciones que tiene mucho el público. Pero por el momento no tenemos nada fijo todavía que nos ha llevado a resolver este caso, sino estamos trabajándolo muy duro. Todo día y toda noche nuestros elementos están enfocados en este caso. Es una prioridad para mí personalmente. También estamos trabajando con todos nuestros compañeros de otras agencias policíacas a nivel local, estatal y federal. Y cualquier pista que están llamando lo vamos a tomar en serio y tratar de resolver. Yo sé que hubo un incidente en el 2017 que algunos están diciendo que tal vez puede ser relacionado. Mi única cosa es que eso pasó hace como 6 millas de donde pasó este incidente. Las personas sí llegaron a ese punto, pero no hemos visto todavía ver una conexión directa entre ese incidente y pero vamos a estudiar a todos para ver si resulta algo más. No vamos a dejar ninguna pista de que sea perdida. Y a los activistas le estamos diciendo, mira, entendemos su angustia, estamos trabajando muy fuerte para resolver este caso, yo personalmente y todos mis elementos, y vamos a hacer todo lo posible para resolver esto.
Pero el ángulo de ser un crimen de odio, ¿está
Sí.
descartado?
No está descartado si puede ser un crimen de odio. Mira, nosotros entendemos que la polémica que está pasando en muchas partes y sí ha habido un incremento a través del país donde hay violencia contra personas por su color de su piel o su raza y todo eso. No podemos confirmar eso ni decir que no fue eso. Entonces, nuestro enfoque es encontrar la troca y encontrar este responsable para que no lo vuelva a repetir.
Sheriff, you mentioned your other partners. We understand you're also working with the ATF to analyze the ballistics that were the caliber of weapon. Why bring in and why cooperate with the feds at this point?
The ATF is a regular partner of ours, and with firearms evidence in particular, that's their expertise, and they have, you know, all the capabilities to be able to be a force multiplier and a regular partner on all types of crimes like this when there's firearms evidence involved. So we're working with them on that, and so we appreciate their assistance. And back to the question earlier, we are working indeed with federal partners, including you know, DPS and others as well on this case.
We've talked a lot about the details of the case, what you do know, what you can't rule out. We're looking here behind your shoulder at a 7-year-old little girl who's no longer with us. Can you tell us, and you've met with the family, can you tell us any stories that they've shared with you anymore that would help us know who she was in her short life?
Yeah, just, I commented the other day about just a beautiful smile, and each picture that we posted, she was smiling, just a wonderful young angel, you know, with a full life ahead of her, and it's our understanding that she wanted to be a teacher. Unfortunately, that will be unfulfilled. And as I mentioned earlier, in an earlier interview, what a shame. We could have seen our first female president, future superintendent, a great educator, or simply a mom, or who knows. And that's been stripped away, and we take that very personally. But our focus remains on getting the job done, and we share in our community's grief and in the family's grief, and it's just a tragedy. Anytime any child is lost, it's just unacceptable. And here in our region, this past year, there were a number of juveniles and children that were injured or lost their life, and that's just too tragic. Anytime any loss of life is difficult, but this one in particular, the time of year is difficult. And we're not going to stop until we solve this case. And so, again, I ask the public just to remain steadfast in their support and commitment of us. We'll do everything possible. I guarantee if we get to the point where simply there's not anything else we could do, we'll be honest with the public and say we still need more help. But we're going to keep calling through all the different tips and information. And my hope and my confidence, I have full confidence in my Harris County Sheriff's Office team, my investigators, and we're gonna work diligently. And I'm personally involved in this case to make sure that we get it solved as soon as possible.
Can we stay on the people and the patients? Because community activists they've got a rally planned for Saturday, Justice for Jasmine. They want to take a composite sketch if it's released and go door to door, car to car. Do you need this kind of help? Does something like this help or hurt, or it's kind of?
Well, it's absolutely helpful. We want the community support. We would like some structure to it so that we could make sure there's not competing messages and that some of that.
Will you send a deputy out there, an investigator?
Yes, absolutely. We're willing to coordinate with them and assist. I will say that I've spoken to most of the activists that have been involved in this. You know, I have relationships with them, not just because of this, but in the past. That, you know, as I've said, you know, we're here. If there's anything that we could do, or if there's anything we're missing that we need to get on top of, they mentioned that case. We're looking into that. I have personally spoken to the investigators. The investigators are involved in going through that case once again. So. Again, we're very in tune with our community, and you know, we appreciate the assistance and help. Again, if we could coordinate some efforts so there's not a duplication of efforts or unnecessarily alarming people, then we want to make sure that we try to, you know, we're trying to be as informative as we can. We've heard reports that no one's talking about this case. I see the irony in that because you all have been so amazing in getting word on this constantly out, and then we've been pretty much every day giving information. We're limited, but we don't want to just flood the airwaves with the same information, but we're trying to be transparent and give information.
Sure.
Yes,
Is
sir.
there any information you can share about the weapon that was used in this case? Was it a single shot, multiple?
Multiple shots were fired. Look, the investigators aren't here, so I don't know at what point, you know, they want to disclose specifics about the weapon. I think just multiple shots were fired out there. We're working with you know, the ATF, you know, on the, yeah, I'm gonna hold off on the specifics of the gun just because I don't wanna, the investigators aren't present right now.
Sheriff, is
Sheriff,
it-
you still pretty sure
yes.
only one person was in that truck?
That's our understanding, and everything to date has been consistent with one person being in that truck. And so that's what we need the public's help on, is finding that individual.
And Sheriff, in regards to people in the community who may be concerned for their safety, just like we were talking about, there were activists this morning who had a different narrative in regards to the possible motive. Like you said, you don't know what exactly the motive is. What would you say to those in the community who may be concerned that they're possibly targeted for their race?
Well, I would say, look, I'm concerned as well. I mean, that's why we have such a large show of force on this particular case. You know, we want to, you know, it's just the nature of the crime and how random and heinous it was, just shooting into a car full of women. And, you know, that's alarming. That's concerning to us. You know, that angers us. You know, and so we do need to find this individual out. So I don't want to in any way minimize. You know, at the same time, it's, I don't want people, their quality of life being impacted or where they don't feel comfortable to live their life and just say there's some person out there that's targeting anyone, because we simply don't know. It would be irresponsible for me to make that claim without fully knowing that that's a linkage. Now, if something develops, we'll definitely be more specific. But look, there's been a lot of crime here recently, a lot of fatalities, and so we need to make sure that everyone's on high alert. You know, I mean, this is so tragic because how do you defend against something like this? Just put yourself in that situation, or if you have children, you're traveling down the roadway and somebody opens fire into your car. How do you defend against that? How, you know, if you're a 7-year-old, how do you protect against that? And so I understand our citizens' concerns. And so yes, be on alert, be watchful, be mindful, you know, but also not paranoid to the point where you feel that you're necessarily a target every single day.
Sheriff, is there any person of interest?
Not at this point, no one of interest that we've honed in on yet, but things are moving quickly. And so we're hoping if we could develop a few things by tomorrow, especially at least a composite sketch, that we could get that information out and continue to hone in on somebody or narrow in. And you know, our goal, we always say this, is we're always just one phone call away, and that could drop at any point where somebody just leads us right to the person we need to. And again, we're proactively also out there. Some resources you could see, others you cannot, because I simply can't divulge every strategy that we have. But we're out there, you know, making sure very diligent in our efforts to get out there in the community in different levels. And so that tip could develop at any point, and so we'll definitely let you know.
Sheriff, as you said, people are killed every day, including children. This case in particular has attracted so much attention nationally. Why do you think that is?
I just think it's, you know, I mean, everybody's going to view it a little bit different, but it's definitely has captured the attention of so many, like you said, locally and nationally. You know, I know through social media, a lot of people have reached out, voicing their support and concerns as parents, as Houstonians. And so I think probably just the age, you know, I mean, just connecting, putting yourself there as a parent, or the time of year. Again, as I keep mentioning, it's a time of celebration and fellowship and closing out a year and starting a new one. All positive, wonderful things that as Americans we all celebrate, all stripped for this particular family. And I think everybody feels that pain and just wanting to embrace them and making sure this doesn't happen again. And we've seen just simply too much violence in too many places, and too many, from places of worship to schools and theaters and places that you know, too many young lives have been impacted by senseless gun violence, and there's simply no room for it. At some point, we've got to say enough is enough, and here a beautiful 7-year-old Jazz has been taken away from us, and again, the fulfillment of her life and her dreams. And I just think that all of it in the totality appeals to people at different levels. And so we're not going to rest until we find justice for Jasmine. That's the least we could do. And hopefully bring closure to the family.
My last question for you
Okay.
is, if you're a man of God, you talk about your personal commitment to this, whether it's for Jasmine, her family, the community, or your investigators, which are dealing with it. Every day, what are you praying? What does that sound like?
Just for serenity to deal through a lot of the death and devastation that we see. I worry for my frontline deputies that are out there. I mean, we were at the tragic fatality scene yesterday where Sylvia, 45-year-old innocent just driver, killed. The 11-year-old recently, same part of town, east part of Harris County, father's driving and she loses her life, suspected DWI. You know, but for us to have that serenity, that professionalism to just serve our community to the best of our ability. You know, at the end of the day, we're residents like everybody else. We're parents. You know, we care about we suit up every day to protect our community. So we feel that sense of responsibility of making sure that this doesn't happen to anyone else. And so we'll continue to be professional. I have full confidence in our team that's out there. I give credit to all our Harris County Sheriff's Office deputies, all law enforcement on the front lines, our dispatchers, and everybody that's working so diligently. And again, to all of you as our partners for getting the information out. And yeah, one last question.
Homicide investigator.
Mhm.
Tell us what will you be told from the ballistics test once those are completed by ATF?
We're trying to see if we could find any linkages, as we've talked to other cases as well. That's one investigative tool that we'll look, as well as just researching databases as well. So sometimes we could find connections to other cases that, you know, evidence will lead us to, in this case, ballistics evidence. And so if we get that, that'll be an important clue for us to say that perhaps this has happened elsewhere. And then we could kind of start, you know, getting more information from what is gleaned from the other scenes perhaps, but we simply haven't made those connections yet. So, you know, there's a number of investigative strategies that we use, and they're all being deployed at this time. And we look forward to having a composite sketch hopefully soon, most likely by tomorrow, and so we'll get that out. And for now, I think we'll probably plan on meeting at least once a day just to answer a lot of the questions, and then, you know, hopefully have a conclusion here soon.
One last question. The woman who described the shooter, did she describe his demeanor at all? Was it calm? Was it angry? Any discussion about what he looked like as it carried it out?
The team has been the one that kind of have interviewed him, so, you know, I just go basically from the anecdotal information that I've received, but just that just no words were exchanged or anything like that that I've heard. So, I mean, it's just a brazen kind of, you know, just shooting, just so heinous, you know, shooting into a car full of anyone, in this case, young children, and there were multiple minors in there, you know. It's amazing that there wasn't more loss of life there that morning in that vehicle. So, okay, well, thank you all, and we'll provide you with any updates, okay?
All right,
Thank
thank you.
thank you.
Tomorrow, another press conference?
Yes, hopefully. Earlier, something
As soon as
needs
you
to get
have
out
it,
soon.
you'll
Yeah,
have
as soon
it.
as we have it, we may do it. If not, then later, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sheriff.